Welcome to Office Hours. This one is called the 5 minute window, how speed to lead turns prospects into booked meetings. And we're going to talk about speed to lead, right? Why it's important, why it's so critical, and how you can solve it with a tool like Snappy Kraken. So the average advisor responds in 24 to 48 hours, right? This is kind of the industry average response time. The window that converts is 5 minutes. Leads contacted within 5 minutes are 21 times more likely to qualify, right? To qualify as a sales lead, we need sales is going to meet with them. 78% of buyers purchase from the first business to respond, and 68% of advisors are competing for the same leads, up from 47% in 2022, right? Those are three really interesting stats. It's super important to respond quickly, right? Within 5 minutes has a massive impact. People are generally purchasing from the first business to respond. And there's a lot of competition for the same leads in this industry, and an increasing amount of competition. And the truth is, every hour you wait, the math gets worse. So it doesn't really decline gradually. Your ability to turn that lead into a meeting kind of falls off a cliff as you wait longer and longer. So the first 5 minutes are worth more than the next 24 hours combined. This is from Harvard Business Review. Within 5 minutes, you have an 85% conversion rate. After 24 hours, it's all the way down to 5%. So this is why it's so important to respond quickly. If we don't respond quickly to this lead that we've paid for, that we have earned through marketing, through putting ourselves out there, our chances of actually being able to talk to that person and have a real conversation with them diminish substantially. And I think there's probably a lot of reasons for this, but I started doing a little bit of research on why the window closes so fast, like psychologically, what is happening. And I think a lot of this taps into how attention and motivation work with these three psychological forces, right? Peak intent is when somebody reaches out, right? They become a lead. They've taken some type of action. They submitted something on your website. They have done some type of action. Whatever problem they're trying to solve, whatever they're thinking about, it's top of mind for them right then. And every minute after, it starts to fade. So the moment and that kind of 5 to 10 minute window after they've submitted that form, there's a lot of psychology built in that. And you can take advantage of that, right? Of that intent. The anchoring effect is why the first person to respond becomes the benchmark that everyone else is judged by, right? If you would respond first, everyone who responds after, right? Every advisor who responds after that, you imagine a situation where a lead gets sent out to multiple advisors. The first one to respond is leading the pack. And then not everybody else is being judged on the same ground. They're being judged in comparison to that first advisor who responded. It's also a big trust signal, right? If I reach out to a business and I don't get a response for, I don't know, 48 hours, it starts to impact what I think about what doing business uh, with that business, with that firm might look like, right? It's not the best first impression. Doesn't mean I'm not going to do business with them ever. It doesn't mean I'm completely discounting them, but it's a signal, and it's not a great one. Jake, what do you think about some of these psychological forces and how this impacts speed to lead?
Well, I think Daniel Kahneman, uh, behavioral marketer, behavioral economist, um, super smart guy, and I'd really love to know how advisors on this call, it's a little bit of a long-winded questions or more so long-winded answer I'm asking for, but how you do respond to prospective clients when they compare you to advisors they previously spoke with during a discovery process. So if if they ended up speaking to someone before they spoke with you, how are you handling that comparison that they're inevitably going to put them onto you? That could be interesting for Snappy Kraken, a Snappy Kraken campaign. as we look at our content library. But overall, they make perfect sense, Mike, and they definitely align with what we're seeing and the motivation for us building some of the tools we have.
Yeah, I bet if people started thinking through like their own experiences of trying to purchase things or hire someone, um, you probably have felt some of these things, right? Like we had to do some work on our house recently. We had powder post beetles in some of our the joists underneath our floorboards. Not a good problem to have, but we are close to solving it. But we reached out to multiple companies. And I can tell you right now, it makes a huge impact when somebody responds promptly, when they respond affirmatively, when they're right, like those quick responses, when they sound like they know what they are doing, have a huge impact. And we ended up hiring. I can't remember. I should go back and look because I can't remember if it was the first people to respond if we ended up hiring them, but they were certainly the most responsive. They were very professional. They came out, gave us a quote, and we talked to a few other companies who, we wouldn't hear back from them for like 48 hours. Who knows? I'm sure they do great work, but when you start to experience that at the very beginning, like that's the first impression. I'm then thinking like, okay, like how fast are they going to be able to get the job done? Are they going to always show up on time? Like what other impacts am I going to see from this? So yeah, I think this stuff is really important. And it's not just like like an e-commerce type thing. This is actually even more impactful when we're talking about services like um, financial planning, financial advisor, so on. All right,
Mm-hmm.
let's keep it going here. Um, I wanted to just highlight what some other people in the industry have said about this. We actually ran a panel webinar a couple weeks ago, and we had a few people on, and speed to lead was something that we talked about, and they had some really interesting quotes. So, it's one thing for us to talk about the importance of speed to lead, but I think hearing from real practitioners in the industry and what they're doing and how they're thinking about it is really important. So, two quotes from that. This first one is from Carolyn Hosking, the vice president of Luson Media, actually runs marketing for Gradient. And what she said on that webinar is if a lead is going out to 5 advisors and you have to reach out and you reach out 2 weeks later, the other 4 have probably already called, right? We've been talking about that where, purchase a lead is going out to multiple advisors, critically important to be among the first to respond, if not the first to respond. It's a huge competitive advantage. And then the second quote is Dan Schrock, head of business development at CG Financial, and comparing insurance to wealth management. And what he said was insurance is way ahead of wealth management. Companies contact you in 10 to 15 seconds. It's crazy. We got to figure out how to get people faster, right? So I think there's other industries where this has been really dialed in. They figured it out. It's a huge competitive advantage, and 10 to 15 seconds is really fast. What do you think about that, Jake?
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little skeptical, Mike. I think that, for a more commoditized product, it's easier to speak to without conducting a complete, discovery process. And the complete menu of wealth management services is more complex than, one or two insurance products that someone may be showing interest in through a lead form. So I think that on one hand, you absolutely want to be on a call as soon as possible, but you also don't want to diminish the sophistication of what you offer. Service is paramount. You got to lead with being there for your clients, and because of that, getting there fast is key. But also coming forward with context about how you can help them, and being more personalized with what you're reaching out about is more critical. This isn't a one size fits all industry, as Mike and I know far less than you guys do about that, but we've heard it directly.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I mean, we're by no means saying you should be within 10 to 15 seconds either. I think the good news is you don't have to be within 10 to 15 seconds. And in that type of situation, I think, you've got people who are just dedicated. All they're doing is calling. And that's their primary job, is just calling new leads as soon as they come in, and there's systems set up to make that work. And there's certainly industries where that is important. But I agree. It's not necessarily what you have to do here. And we're going to be talking about, ways to automate this. Because it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be, and that is a powerful way to do it, but you don't have to do that. Um, Scott just said in the chat, it seems like a prospect might be annoyed having three advisors call them in 5 minutes, like a smart asset lead. Potentially, yeah, that is potentially true. I think the truth is that's probably not going to happen, right? The average response time, like we were talking about before, is 24 to 48 hours. I don't think that most advisors are calling right away within 5 minutes. And a lot of times probably don't necessarily have automation set up either. So I think what's more likely is you're going to be the advisor, if you do that, who stands out and who responds first. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I think having a really strategically worded message, lead capture sequence that is personalized based on what demographic or set of goals that particular person has is key. Here's how I'm different. Here's how my whole team can help you. Here are the services we offer. You may have spoken to other advisors already, but allow us to make a case for why we are the best to help you. And if you can get that message in front of them as soon as soon after they submit the form, and they show interest, you're making your case as effectively as you can. Social proof, also really important. So if you customize your, prospect nurturing campaigns to include blocks that are, speaking to how you've helped people just like them in the past, that's going to help you win the deal.
Yeah, exactly. I think leading with that value has a huge impact, right? If you're not just like calling, hey, just saw you did this, let's talk. You're like leading with some value. And actually, when we get to we'll do a quick demo later on this call and kind of show some ways that you can automate this with email. One of the things that you can do is, Jake kind of hinted at this at the beginning of the call, sending different types of messages to different types of leads, or based on where people are coming from, so that the message feels personal, and that's going to help it feel a lot more valuable, so that people are going to be, when somebody gets a message that's valuable, it doesn't feel intrusive. It feels like it's adding to their life in a valuable way. All right. Well, let's keep it going here. So I think the one thing to understand about speed to lead is it doesn't really necessarily impact your close rate, right? It doesn't impact whether you can close a client. It impacts whether you get the meeting in the first place, right? So you take the same number of leads, same close rate, and the same amount per client. So let's say 20 leads a month, 25% close rate, 5K per client. This is kind of a breakdown of what it looks like just simply by responding faster. If you respond within 24 hours versus 5 minutes, all that's changing is the amount of meetings you're getting, right? So 55-minute response time, you are able to turn roughly 50% of those leads into meetings, 10 meetings a month, 30 new clients a year, 150K annual revenue from those new clients. Waiting 24 hours drops you down from a 50% lead to meeting conversion rate to 23%, right? So you've gone less than half. 4 to 5 meetings a month, around 13 new clients, and 67,500 in revenue. I think that obviously these numbers are going to change based on other factors. So we're not necessarily saying this is exactly what's going to happen, but the main point is it dramatically impacts your ability to convert leads into meetings, right? From there, your close rate, your client rate, all those different things stay the same. But simply by responding faster, you can increase the number of meetings that you get from leads. It's that simple.
Hmm. And I think another, if you go to the next slide, Mike, maybe I'll speak to this, but we're talking a lot about speed to lead, which is, not realistic on a manual basis. So obviously that's where an automation platform like SnappyKraken comes into play. We're not expecting you to be there every time someone submits a form or a lead platform sends you a lead, and then you're there deciding what campaign to send them, what communication to get in front of them, and doing that logic and then sending the email. Like, no, that's not realistic. That's where we come into play. But the strategy that comes into that is, what makes you differentiated. So what campaign, what audiences guide your automation, and spending more time on the upfront focused on the demographic and the type of client that you're really trying to seal the deal with will differentiate you. But this also translates into long-term relationship building. Not every deal is going to close right away. A lot of folks are just sort of doing initial exploration. They're browsing, but they may not be ready to make a decision on a financial advisor until 6 months down the line or a year later. And we've heard that story many, many, many times, where our technology comes into play. There is, you get them into SnappyKraken, and our system knows what audiences they should be a part of. And so not only are you sending a immediate welcome sequence that's personalized based on what group they fall into, but you've also now had the ability to put them into different long-term nurturing sequences that are going to be touching, hitting them for the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And you're now top of mind when they are ready to make a decision. And so speed to lead is really critical, but it's also how fast can you enable insights to maintain communication in a sophisticated manner over a long period of time.
Yes, it's a great point. It kind of goes back to that trust signal, right? By showing up quickly with value, you are, putting a deposit in the trust bank really early on, and kind of showing what it might be like to work with you, as an advisor, as a service provider, in a positive way. Okay. So the speed to lead workflow that we've kind of been talking about, obviously there's different solutions that you could take to this, right? So we've been talking a little bit about phone calls. Some people call. If you have the time to do that, I think that's great. It's a nice add-on. You see a lead come in and you can call them, especially if it's coming from, something like Smart Asset, it's going out to multiple advisors. I would say, for most advisors and firms, that's probably not realistic, right? You're not gonna be able to call every single lead that comes in within 5 minutes. What you can do is set up an automation that is going to reach out for you, right? And you can do it in a personalized way. So you can have a few of these automations based on where leads are coming from, your website, Smart Asset, any other lead sources that you have, right? And so this speed to lead workflow, we're going to show kind of how to set it up, but it starts with a lead notification email, right? Which means, and this is what you can literally do within SnappyKraken, right? And this means that you can use this with any lead source, right? Any lead source that you use sends you a notification when you get a new lead. That lead notification email can be turned into a contact record in SnappyKraken, right? Using our AI lead capture, pulls all the information out of it, creates a new contact, in Snappy Kraken and then adds it to a dynamic group. Then you can use auto subscribe to send out a welcome email. And then, like Jake was talking about, and kind of hinting at, that first welcome email isn't the whole story, right? That's the important one. That's the speed to lead that we're talking about today. But it'd also be really ideal to keep following up after that, right? And so that's that persona appropriate campaign is, who is this type of person? What do they care about? What can I send them that's going to add value? Jake, anything to add to this workflow before we kind of dive in and take a look at what it looks like on the platform?
No, I think we should show them how it works.
Okay, cool. Let's do it. So I'm going to stop sharing, pass it over to you, Jake, and then, yeah, let's take a look at it.
I have my demo account open here. I have a campaign that I'm saying is great for retirees or pre-retirees, maybe more mass affluent in nature or high net worth, but not ultra high net worth. Separately, I have a campaign that is targeting business owners, so it will resonate more with, UHNW targets and give them something that they, that will resonate with them and they may respond to. And so two very different campaigns here, one for ultra high net worth, one for more mass affluent retirement focused. I've just to streamline the demo, I've created 2 sample lead notification emails. And I have here my lead capture page. So the first lead platform that I'm getting a lead from is called Apex Private Client Network. So these are, advisor networks. I'm sure some of you belong to them. Platforms like Zoe Financial. Also, you're part of the Fidelity Network. Basically, any network that distributes clients who come in through their platform. And I created this Apex Private Client Network lead inbox, and it gave me this unique email address. And now I'm going to look at the other one that Claude gave me, which is from a company called Retire Ready Match. So it's sort of it sort of feels like a retirement centric lead generator that sells leads to advisors. So now I have these 2 lead capture inboxes. And by the way, this is in the contacts section of the platform, which you can get to just by clicking contacts and going to lead capture. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to set up 2 dynamic groups. I actually have one already created for high net worth retirees. I'm going to set the age to 60 to 70, and I actually want to make it a little bit more mass affluent. So I'm going to put it down to, say, 1 million min and 10 million max. Did I get the number of zeros right? Okay. Let's save. And I'm going to go and create one more dynamic group called ultra high net worth business owners. And I'm going to create a net worth of 10 million as the minimum, and I'm going to make the maximum 100 million.
The cool thing about these dynamic groups is that every time a new contact comes in that matches those filters Jake just set up, it'll be automatically added into that group.
That's right. So I have my 2 lead capture inboxes here, and I'm going to copy this one, go into my email and simulate what this would be like. And I'm going to go and grab that email from the Apex Private Client Network, new prospect, Apex Network. And you'll see this email has a pretty unstructured format. Our AI is set up to parse this information and convert it into snappy Kraken contact fields. So when I click send here, that contact that just came in, Daniel Reyes, will be in my snappy contacts page. I'm also going to uh, do the same thing with this one. Let's create a new email and grab that retire match, ready match.
This is cool. I didn't actually realize you were gonna you're gonna demo it this way live. So Jake's simulating what it would be like getting a lead notification email sent, right? Technically, what you would do is take that lead capture inbox, go into your Retire Ready platform or whatever, and add it to the list of email addresses that you probably want lead notifications sent to your main email address. You would just add that address there as well. So then anytime a new lead comes in, it gets sent. But you're simulating that with Gmail, which is a really good idea. And it looked like it worked.
So it came in. The net worth here, 28 million to 35 million. Daniel Reyes should have gone into here, and he has. And I forgot to subscribe this group to a campaign, so I'm just going to do that right now. So this is my ultra high net worth, and actually I had that open over here. So my business legacy campaign.
Yeah, so then the next step, what we have right now is you have the lead notification email come in. The contact data got added automatically into Snappy Kraken. It was moved into the correct group automatically. And by the way, you don't have to use a dynamic group with this either. If you just wanted it to go into a static group and send one specific campaign, you could do it. What Jake is showing is a slightly more complex version where you can send a personalized piece of content based on the net worth of the people who are coming in. So if you have leads coming in at different net worth and you want to kind of tailor it the way that he's showing it right now with a high net worth retiree versus an ultra high net worth business owner, you could do that with the dynamic groups. Mm-hmm. And what we're going to do now is set up auto subscribe so that every time somebody comes into that dynamic group, right, they match the filter criteria, they're going to automatically get that campaign immediately.
Yep. So I kind of had my steps. Forgot about that one step, but essentially I have now my two campaigns set up, one for the high net worth retirees, the other for ultra high net worth. And I got all that set up in literally 3 minutes. And my contacts came in. As you can see, Student Cloud, Susan Kowalski, and Daniel Reyes. They were put into those groups automatically from the lead capture emails. And Daniel was subscribed to the Business Legacy campaign, and Susan Kowalski was subscribed to the retirement plan campaign, and also the business one because I accidentally clicked that, which is just something I fumbled during a demo. So it wouldn't happen on your end, but you see how easy it is to set up these automations. And now anytime a new lead comes in from one of your lead sources, they'll get put into a campaign that's relevant for them without any ongoing effort on your end. It's pretty magical.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's amazing how, I mean, obviously you know the platform well. It's amazing how quickly you're able to set that up. And it's worth noting that isn't just a single email that you set up there, right? It's a full campaign that is going to go out and be sending content over time. Like if you went and hopped into
that was a bunch of steps. I see, Elizabeth, you're asked why do you need to send those emails? Just for demo purposes, because I didn't have a lead platform sending those emails in real time. So if you use any sort of lead platform that sends a lead notification email, you just plug in the lead capture inbox to that platform, and it'll use that, and our system will capture it automatically.
Yeah,
I
Jake,
hope
kind of
that
what
makes
like, a lot of
sense.
times when we demo this, we'll just, set up the AI lead capture inbox and talk about what will happen. But that was kind of a cool way to show the system working by simulating it.
Yeah, and Liz, absolutely. Your website product should be able to add additional email addresses for notifying you when new leads come in, and you can just as easily enter one of these lead capture emails.
Yeah, and you know what, Jake, just since we're in here, why don't we show a demo of like the simplest version of this? I love this dynamic groups version, but let's say just as a baseline, I want to set up the simplest version. I'm getting leads coming in through my website, and I want to send a really basic welcome email.
Sure. So I'll just create a lead capture box called our website, and I want it going into the prospects folder to start. And now I'm just going to tell Claude, give me a generic email for when leads come in from our website, from advisors own website. While it's doing that,
Yeah, let's go set up the rest of the thing
yeah.
as well.
So what campaign should we use, Mike?
Just grab the welcome email.
Okay.
So this is a really the new contact welcome email is one email. It's a really simple one that you could use. And we're not going to personalize it right now just for the sake of time, but if you would go in there, you would see there's some placeholders inside that email for you to add some information about your firm, about how you help clients, all those different things. So and it'll prompt you to do that, right? So it'll automatically put your name in there, but found it in year, put in your mission statement, and you can personalize it as much as you want. But this is a pretty simple one to use.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, getting that personalized, making it, make yourself stand out, make it differentiated. You have that ready to go. And then we already went through the flow already with this, so don't necessarily need to show you, but your email could be as simple as this for your website, where you capture their contact information. Structure really does not matter because AI is so good at extracting the key information from there and storing it into our contact system. Um, so you'll have the data ready to go within Snappy, and then you can use it with dynamic groups to get them different campaigns if you want, or you can just have one generic campaign going out uh, for those leads that don't fit into any other bucket.
Cool. Yeah, and then I guess just for clarity on what Jake's doing too, because Chris makes a good point in the chat about using Claude for prospect research. All we're really using Claude for here right now is generating fake contact records so that we can
Yeah.
simulate what this looks like. Um, Obviously for you, you're going to have real contacts coming from real lead sources and sending real campaigns. But yeah, that was our demo. And yeah, look, I think the main takeaway here is you don't personally need to be faster. You don't need to be sitting by your phone, waiting for leads to come in, getting up from dinner to call them right away. You can set up a system, right? You can set up a system that's going to automatically do this for you. It can be as simple as that most recent example that Jake showed, where you just, okay, I have leads coming from this source. I'm going to attach it directly to a static contact group that is going to automatically send a welcome email. Boom, I'm done, right? And I'm going to do that for my kind of main lead sources. If you want to take it another level up, you can, and you can use those dynamic groups and set up filter criteria based on your ideal clients or the type of leads that are coming in that you want to have personalized responses for. And you can do a mix of both of those as well. So if you would like to see what this looks like for your firm, hey, we'd love to show you, right? Book a demo. We will, our team will walk you through it. And I did see another question in the chat of like, can we help set up set up this type of system? Um, Jake, what do you think? Is this something we can help our clients do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a really well-trained, engaged, smart success team dedicated to helping our clients set up automations like this and many other automations. And then on top of that, if you're if you manage marketing for an office of advisors or for an entire network of advisors, like an enterprise, or if you're a corporate marketer, um, we can we can containerize these automations so that they can be deployed across your entire network. So it's easy to set up and implement for a wider, a broader set of advisors, but still have it be personalized and flexible for each advisor.
For sure. Okay, so if anybody has questions, we had a bunch of questions come in through the chat and Q&A, but we're happy to hang around and answer some more questions as well. So drop them in the chat, drop them in Q&A. While you're doing that, the one other thing that we promise on this webinar that I want to make sure we fulfill is this speed to lead calculator. So basically what this does is you can input your information and it'll help you understand what the revenue gap might be, your specific revenue gap. So you enter your leads, the amount of average meetings you're getting per month right now, your current speed to lead, your close rate, and your revenue per client. And it's going to help you calculate what that might look like if you were able to get a response system set up, getting these responses out within 5 minutes. So you should see a link in the chat for that, and you can kind of go play around with that. And it does use a two-stage system where like we showed it on the earlier slide, the thing that's being impacted is the number of meetings you get per month. Right? Cool. Let's see. If we don't have any other questions, I think we can call it. Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks, Jake, for doing that demo. It was really cool.
Thank you,
And
Ryan.
yeah.
Thank you.
Well,
Thanks everyone for coming in today.